Hello everyone, and welcome to Forinda Tutorials. Today we're going to be talking about state management using context API and dispatch for handling our state. So with the context is just a way by which we can avoid what is so-called prop drilling. And let me just get an example of how prop drilling works. So at the top you can see passing data deeply with context. Usually you will pass information from a parent to a child component via props, but passing props can become verbose and inconvenient if you have to pass them through many components in the middle, or if many components in your app need the same information. So context lets the parent component make some information available to any component in the tree below it, no matter how deep, without passing it explicit props. So this is one thing that is very effective whenever you are doing something with the prop drilling. So how do you know you are prop drilling? So React team has put a sample of it here. You'll see where you can lift, if you need a state somewhere, then you lift it to the parent. Okay, so the problem, passing props is a great way to explicitly pipe data through your UI tree to the components that use it. Then bypassing props can become more verbose and inconvenient when you need to pass some props deeply through the tree, or if many components need the same prop. The nearest common ancestor can be far removed, the component that needs data, and lifting state up that high can lead to stationary called prop drilling. So that means that if you have a stack of components, then what you'll have to do is to check for the closest or the nearest parent that is just above all the components that you want to pass the props to, so that you lift up state to the next components. So this is how it can look like. You'll have this kind of heading. Okay, then you drill down the props in through these components. So I'll kind of try and I'll not use this example, but I'll use I'll combine the two with reducers. So at the end of this article, you find that there are some use cases for using context API. So one, for theming, if your app lets the users change its appearance, e.g. dark mode, you can change to put context provider at the top of your app and use the context in components that need to adjust the visual looks. Then we have the current account. This is just for login. We have routing, and you'll see most of these tools that are performing routing, they'll use context API. Then we also have managing state. So we'll just do a simple state management with context API and reducer to do this. So without further ado, so let's try and create an application and work on it. So I'll move to my terminal, go to my desktop. In here, I'll use the Vite tool. That is, doesn't matter whatever manager you're using, but make sure you have Node.js installed. So confirm, you can just use Node. And if you don't know where to get Node, just go to download. Okay. So you can go to download Node.js. Then the first link should be this one. Then you just choose what works well with you. Okay. Okay, so you can go through here. Then now if you go to download here, you'll find a way by which you can install. So whether you're on Windows, Mac, or Linux, you should be able to get Node.js. So with me, I have Node.js installed. So it's ready. It should come bundled with the npm. I have version 10. So with npm, with me, I prefer using yarn or pnpm. So I'll just use pnpm because it's quite fast as compared to these other ones. So pnpm create white. This is just a command for creating a React application. So if you go to write here, when you get started, you'll see you can start, you can build on any of these. So whether you're working with the Vue, vanilla, both TypeScript and JavaScript, SvelteKit, Solid, Quick, whichever you so wish. So I'll just use this command, npm create white, and that's what we have here. Then now we can call this React context API. So then, because personally I prefer TypeScript, I'll select on React, then click on TypeScript SWC. Then I'll just open this with VS Code. So I'll close these are the ones. I'll trust this. Then now we can open up our VS Code fully. So the first thing we need to install is the dependencies that come with this bit. So from there we'll install React router DOM. So I'll just install the React router DOM so that we are able to change through pages, not for any other functionality. So I'll do a quick cleanup. Just remove this. Go to app.ts. So I'll remove everything here, then write RFC. Currently there's nothing here, so I'll install a plugin here known as React snippets. This one. So this will give us some autocomplete features so that we can build on our components very fast. So once it's installed, I'll just close this. So if now I come back here, you'll see I get a list of snippets. So if I pick on RFC, then it should generate this boilerplate. This should get us started. So then just doing some simple setup in our index, we'll remove everything because this is not something to do with the styling. But let's see, I'll add tailwind. Tailwind CSS, auto prefixer, and post CSS. So once that is in place, we'll just initialize tailwind, and with that I'll come here and just add watch for SRC, but what will we be watching for? So HTML, JS, JSX, TS, and TSX. Afterwards, now we'll come to our index and add tailwind, base, tailwind components, then utilities, and that should do it for tailwind setup. For the router, let's create our folders. We'll add our stores. So reason why I use stores is because you can mix, you can blend in context API with other tools. So we'll have here context. Outside here, then we'll have our router, or we can just have it as a file, .tsx. In the meantime, now let's configure some path aliases. So I'll just install types for node and d types, so that when you come to vit, we'll import file path to URL. Then here we'll just say resolve alias. Then this should point to @. So when we put @, then should change this to our SRC. So we'll pass the new URL, and this is the base URL for the imports. So once that is in place, we need to make some updates. So we'll go to our app here, tsconfig.app.json. Then we'll add some paths. So in the paths, we'll add our base URL to point to the current directory. Then we'll add path here. So I'll just have it as @/*, then that should point to anything in the SRC folder that we are pointing to. We'll take this same to our tsconfig.json. So we'll need to add compiler options, then paste here. So once that is in place, that is just setup. Okay. After that is set up in our router, We'll add pages, then we'll have components. We'll add like a header .tsx. See, then we'll make this to have a capital H so that it's distinguishable from other HTML elements. Then we can have a simple okay, we'll have a hooks folder. So the hooks folder I'll build on it later, but we have a page. Let's say we have a landing page.tsx. Then we complete that. We have about.tsx rfc. Then you can have let's just use the two. Okay. Then let's say, yeah, I think it's okay the way it is. So we'll just need to set this up so that we have this in our router, const router, which will be create browser router. So we'll import from React router DOM and import create browser router, and we need an array of routes. Then you can just export default router from here. We'll have path pointing to base, and they should give us an element. We'll have our element pointing to landing page. Just format this path pointing to about. Then we should have our about page here. So now if we come to our app, what we'll do here, we'll just have our route provider from React router. Then we'll pass a router. Then we'll just import that router. Meanwhile, here you can also just use this and still work. So we have our router. Then we can go to package.json. Then I'll change this script to port 3000. Then we can just run pnpm dev. So that's up, you'll see we have our landing page. So this landing page, then if we so wish to go to about, you'll see we have an about page. And if we go to something else, you see we get this error message. So this is not something of focus today, so let's try and see how to build on the context API. So we have this simple header. We'll need to reuse this with some base layout. So to make sure that we wrap everything, we'll just add a base layout. So base layout tsx rfc. So this will take in some props, which will be children, which will be any React node. Then we can pass here props. Then we'll have our children here. But with this approach, this won't be so much effective. So what I'll use, instead of children, we'll use an outlet. So in here, I will have a header. Then afterwards, we'll have our outlet from React DOM. So once we have that in place, what will happen is when we come back to our router, we'll wrap these to become children. Okay, so we'll make sure these now are children of this route. So then we can specify the path here. Then the element that will pass won't be landing page, will pass in the base layout, so that if we come to this point, you'll see the header is available even if you go to about. We should be able to still get the header. So let's build on this. So let's say we need to build something to do with the auth, okay? Auth or theme. So I'll try to use auth because it's the most practical and maybe clear way, something that you might be struggling with. So we are done with the basic setup of this application. So next is to now build on our context. So how do we work with context API? So let's go to our stores, go to context, then we'll just add here an app context .tsx. So what happens is we can create a context app context, which will be a create context. Okay. Then for this context to be able to work in our application, we need also to have a provider, const app provider, which now will take type provider app provider props, which will just be children. So children will be the React nodes that you'll be able to wrap with this. So the provider, which will take provider props, and what we'll have here is app context of provider. Then we'll pass in the value, which can be an object or just if let's say we had this as a number, let's say 4, this now should be we can have a simple value like 34 here. So this will be the value, but if now we are passing objects, then you need to use these double curly braces. So this value is now whatever will be passed to that context. Then we can just proceed to export app provider and app context. So this is how simple it is to create context. So let's say this is 34. Then here we pass 56. So we need a way to wrap our application with this. So what we can do about it is whether someone is authenticated or not, we still need to pass this provider context. So what we'll do is to context will have context layout .tsx rfc. Then on this we'll have our app context. Okay. So no, app provider. So context we can't use as a component. Then these should take in, we'll have our props there. Then now here we'll have our children. So when we call this should be able to wrap around the children and provide the needed context around the application. So what I'll do with this is to come to our we can come to our router or app.tsx, and we can just wrap the all of it here with the context layout. So we refresh. We get an error. So app context. Okay, let's see whether we can fix that. Oh, this should be from React actually, not VM. So if we come and refresh this, we should be able to see our application is working as expected. So we have the context. Now what is left is Okay, let me try and style up the header a bit. With full. So you can also add a Tailwind plugin if you don't do it. This should aid you in autocomplete. This one, Tailwind IntelliSense. So with full, then we can flex and justify between items and. But on this outer one, you can say with full border B, border black. Then we can say we have a padding of 4. Here 4. In here we'll have our div of pointing to link from React Router DOM. This should pointing to home. Then you can have another div this at the end pointing to about. And now you can see we have about and homepage here. So we can switch around. Then I'll just make sure that this one have a max width of 7XL. Then we mx outer, center it. So if we try and shrink it up, it can't go beyond these bounds. So I'll keep it at 150. So once we have that in place, we can also have const generate links. So this will check for authenticated. So this should be Boolean and it should be optional. So we can have our data folder. Then we can have here our header links .js or tsx. So export const links. It should be, let's say, header. Then we'll say left. Type link. So this will be with the title. We'll have an href. I won't need an icon. Then we won't complicate this, so we'll just have those. Then requires auth should be Boolean. so that can also be optional. So type, then we can have middle, then from here type, another type links, which will be a record of link group. Then now we can just pick this and put it here. So with that, let's create a types folder. Then we'll have our links.ts. Next, then I'll just extract this and put them here. So export type links in the header here. I'll just import links from types link. So left we'll have an href of home, title home. So this requires auth. So here, left, right, middle, this can be optional, so that in the right we don't require auth. But let's say we have a login register. If you log in, this doesn't require auth. So then requires auth, let's say false. Then this also requires auth to false. Then now we can have a profile, dashboard, and a logout, probably profile. So we'll rename this to navigation links. So I'll just import this to my components in the header. Then I'll get my links, which will be navigation links dot header. Then from there we'll get our middle and left. So these links, let's say what will return. So because it's an object, dot entries. So for the links, we'll return so the value here will be an auth link. Then so if we are authenticated and so the value that we have here is a key. So we pass here value is an auth link. So we get the header, then now we have the left and the right. So the key is the left, value is the right. Okay. Okay, so what we do here, we'll run a flat map. So in the flat map, what will return, the value, this will be an array. So we'll return so it will return here is value dot map link, then we return the link dot requires auth is equals to authenticated. So we'll filter so const new links, we'll assign links we'll pass in the we'll pass in this So for the new link, let me see. So object.keys links, for each key, let's just say at this point we want to be returning the link. So what we'll do here, const links links will be that this will be a skill type of links, then we'll get our links, so that what we get here is let's say we or let's just say what we'll do here, navigation links dot let's say we get the header. So for me to have this as const, oh sorry, the header links, then we can make these as const. So when you come here, if now we come on this at the end, we can get a header, and just assume this for now. The header dot write with map, so we'll only render let's say const is authenticated, so we'll first filter where link is dot requires auth, so. So dot requires auth, is equals to then you can now provide so what this will do is to just check if the navigation links are Boolean defined. Okay, so we'll take our right side, we'll see we have login and register. Then from there now we can just have a flex and regard for maybe 4. Then you have these yeah, but let's say if we have auth to true, should have dashboard, profile and logout. Okay, so let's create a not found page 04.tsx. So RFC will get a not found page so in here what I'll have is just this. I'll try and paste some code here. So we have a not found page. Then coming to our router, first the children here will what will say at the last bit of star, then they should point to not found. Then we can have an error page, error PSX. For the error page, we'll also just have some boilerplate here. So when we come to our router, we'll have error page going to this error page. So now if we come to this, go to profile, you'll see we get this 404 page. Go to logout, dashboard, all this should point to page not found. So we are done with the page setup. So let's see how to now get our context to this application. So first thing, we have wrapped the whole application in context. So next we need to create a folder here known as hooks. So this I'll call it use app state.tsx. Then we can just create a normal component. So out of this normal component, we can import use context. So if we need to get the state, we'll use context. So whatever we had on the other side, we'll have it here on use context. Then we'll pass our context, which is app context. So this will be our state. And you can see our state is of type number. So then we can just return state. So if now we come to our header, we can use const app state will be use app state. So this should give us a number, but you can see, let me just app state dot state. So if now I come to my app, you'll see I have 56 here, and if I need to reuse this in my other pages, let's say in the landing page, I'll just import the hook. Then you'll see I still have 56. So this is a component, this is also another component, but you can see we have a similar state which is persisted across. So let's build something a bit complex with this approach. So we'll go to our stores context. Let me just start with the types. So let's say we want to build on auth.tsx. So we'll have our type of user type, which will be, all we need is the name, which is just a string, and that is enough. Then auth state should be, so in here I don't think if we should have, is either you have a user or you don't have. Then we have the is authenticated app. Then so if we export type functions, so this should be, if we log in, we should pass in a user. We log out should just give us, this should give us type, which will be login, and this should give us just type for logout. So this should be our auth actions. So if we come back to our app context, we'll create state. So let's create another type here, type context tsx. Then you can export type app state context type, which will be state, will be app state. I think we need to export, let me call it auth context state. This is auth state. Let's have it as it can either be null or it's there. Then we'll have a dispatch which will take in auth actions or null. So these will be something different. Return type, so this does is just get the return type of the functions that will be passed there, so that we end up with just the type and payload. So that's how this will be. Then we can pick this, bring it to our app context here. Then we say we pass it there, then import. Then see we get an automatic change here. So dispatch null state null. So when we get to here, we'll need to have a reducer. In the meantime, let me avoid the dispatch first, so that we just have the state. So you can have const initial state, which will be auth state so user can be null test is authenticated false. Let's just have it as false and make user nullable. So this is undefined. So we'll pick the initial state, and that's what we'll. So if you come down here, we'll import the reducer, or we can just pass in the initial state. Should point to the initial state. Now if we come to this, should be context. Yes. Now we come back to our landing page. This state now has changed to something else. This will be state dot is authenticated. Let me say yes or no. Something went wrong. Object has no valid. Okay. So let's check in our hooks. And now here we'll have our state. So what will we have in the state? So const user will be username. So state can be null. So that's what we'll pass here. So if we come to is authenticated, yes or no, refresh this. Where do you have the error? Landing page. Try again. So you'll see user hasn't been authenticated and it's reflecting across here. Just refresh. In the header, we need keys. Refresh. Okay. So it's now good. Next is now to so where the layouts so we'll say div class name will be max with 7xl with full and x out. Yeah, that should center the content. Okay. So what we'll have to do here in our context now, we'll introduce the dispatch so that when we come to our context, we'll need the dispatch, and dispatch will we'll need to dispatch something of this kind. So for us to have a dispatch, because we've seen our context can change, so next is to just now use the reducers const state and dispatch, which will be pointing to use reducer. So in the reducer we'll pass in the initial state, but so how reducer works, we'll need a function which takes in a state, which will be our auth state, and some actions, which will be auth actions. Then it should be able to give us as auth state. Will be auth context state. Yeah, so this should give us the auth state. So because this is a function, so what you can say here, you just say if the switch we love this kind of approach, but I'll need us to just remove this function from here. Const reducer function, we should take that kind of approach. So what we'll do here, we'll have just this function which will switch between an action, a type. So let's go to auth actions, support type reducer action types, which will be return type of auth actions and get the key. Now we take that and put it here. And the same should go to our context. That now should simplify it. Now if we come back here, what we'll do is to check the type can either be login or logout. Then now we check, we switch for the type. If the type is login, then now we pass the payload. Then I don't know what we can do here. If If we don't have a payload, then we just return the state. So we can take this reducer function and put it in here. That should work for us. Next, what we do is for the state, we'll have state and dispatch. So let's remove what has not been used. So let's see if our app is still on. So assuming in our hooks here, now we can say if we can have our dispatch. So we can have a function here, const login user. We'll import user type. Where the types we can export user type. From our hook, we get the user type. Then what we do is to just dispatch. So we'll just get that. Then const logout. Then we'll get this. So up to there we won't need this. We'll say actions, login and logout. So how will this help us? We'll check if the user is authenticated, then we can log in, then also log out. So this is just to simplify the process for logging in the user. So next, we'll add a login page, a very simple login page. So come to pages, add login, RFC. Then what we'll have here is just a simple div. And let's see, we have a button, login, say plus to have that login button. We'll have a type here to be button. Then you can have a h1, say welcome to login. Then we can extract, make this .l. Go to our router, register this. login. So and have our logout page. TSX FC. Then this one should use effect. So if we go to logout page, this should reset. Just upstate will use this. So we'll import actions. What we'll say, action will just call invoke the action dot. We'll just invoke actions, then we can navigate. We'll import use navigate. Then we just navigate to, we'll go to home page. Okay. So then we register the logout also. So if we go to logout, should be able to, interesting. This should be logout. So import, we return just empty fragment. We go to logout, inspect, go to logout. Yeah. So if you go back, you'll see quick fix. Let's just disable that. So if we go to logout, should log us out and user should not be authenticated. Then now if you go to login, in the login page, we can import upstate, then actions, function, handle, so I need the name, const login, then here on click, then we'll handle login. So if we go to logout, then now back to our header, We won't use auth now, we'll use is authenticated. So what you can do, if you go to login page, we will get this. So if I log in, you'll see now the user has been authenticated, and now we can go to the profile or the dashboard, and if I log out, you'll see user has not the state has changed. So just to visualize how that is changing, you can go to header and I can choose to JSON. User. So if I come to login, if I log in, you'll see we have name is John Doe. After logging in, then you can get use navigate. Then we navigate to the home page. So same should be with this. Now I log in, should take me to landing page, and you'll see we have yes. Now if I go to, I think I'm missing something. In the header links, so where we are rendering the header, what you can say, so it's either it's equal to authenticated or type of so type of requires what is undefined. So meaning if we don't pass any, then it should render also the about page. You can see if you go to the dashboard profile, once you log out, you'll see user is not authenticated. So that's how simple it is to use context API with for state management. I know it was a bit simple in a way, but there's a lot of concepts around it. So if you need to persist this state so that when you log in, you don't refresh, now this state is persisted, you can use how do we call it, state management to watch for the changes in the state. Then you can either persist them in one of the storage engines that is available in the browser. So I'll have this implementation in our, so let me just change, so I'll change if if link dot title is equals to lowercase dot includes profile we return user.name, otherwise we just return. So if now we try to log in, you'll see we have gendo here, which is the same name which is around here. Then now if we log out, it should be able to take us to the landing page and should reset the state here. So I'll have these in my repo so that I'll link it down in the description so that you wish to reuse it or follow through with whatever I have done here, you're able to do so. So thank you all for those who watched this, and please subscribe for more content of such. Currently looking to reach 1,000 subscribers. I hope this information you find it useful on your end, and being that it's TypeScript, try to level up on your TypeScript skills. So just that today we've leveraged the use of reducers and context to manage our state. I haven't really done the persistence part of it, but you could see that the state is reactive across all the components. So if you log out, it's not available in all the pages, and if you log in, it's available in all the pages as long as you haven't refreshed the whole page. So up to there, I think call this a wrap, and let's meet in the next series that will be of such impact. So bye bye for now.